gonna wait for some people to join, guys, and we'll go ahead and get started. What's up? What's up, guys? What's up? Just like every stream, I'm going to give it a few more minutes and we'll go ahead and get started. What's up, guys? What's up? Just gonna give it a few more minutes, guys, until I see that user count go up. I am not starting. We'll make sure we have a lot of people in here. And this is in regards to the early slate. So this is not in regards to the 7:30 slate, which we will be covering in a separate stream later. So just this stream, just the first half of the day. So there's 3 slates actually. Let me go ahead and look at that. I think there's 3 slates. There's actually 4. So there's a 2 p.m., which is what we're going to be talking about right now. There's a 5 o'clock, a 7:30, and 9. I think we're going to be covering the 2 o'clock, which would be the one starting early, and we're going to be covering the one that's going to be starting at 7:30, which is 5 games. Yep. Everyone probably is used to Periscope at this point. I'm gonna give it a few more minutes, guys, and we'll go ahead and get started. I also don't expect there to be a lot of turnout today just because I know a lot of you are working. Fortunately, I work at the bank and I got today off, so. Alright, I'll go ahead and get started. Also, I haven't checked my mic in obviously a week, so just let me know if I'm too loud, too quiet. I think it's good. I think the settings are right. Alright, guys, so definitely excited to be back and to be doing this live stream. I missed it, honestly. I tried in Mexico actually to do a DFS while I was there, but it wouldn't allow me. So, or else I would have been playing with you guys. That was actually the same night that TJ won, or it was the night after, actually. So speaking of TJ winning, I just wanted to put this on the screen, guys. For any of you that missed it, this is the kind of stuff we do. So if you look here, this was actually his 3rd place finish while I was gone. 37,000 or so people. This was a huge GPP. Obviously, don't just put all your eggs in one basket when you're playing GPPs. Like, don't just do one contest. But this one he did other GPP contests, but this is the one that earned him the most money. I just wanted to show you guys. This is what it's all about. If you look up and down the list, good mix of high owned guys, 38%, 37%, 16's even decently owned in GPPs, 28%. And then you got a mixed bag of these low owned guys. You got JaVale McGee at 8%, Nunn 7.18%. That's how you do it, right there. Of course, he entered more than one lineup, so he was obviously able to get as much exposure as he could. But that's what it's all about, guys. This is what we're doing the streams for, to help you guys learn, not just help us win, but help you guys win as well. What's up, guys? What's up, Sano? So this is what it is all about. We 37,000 people. You can't tell me that it's luck at that point. You know, we crunch the numbers every single day. We are dedicated on our live streams. We give you the best picks. But just to show you, one good night can change your life. He was 1 rebound. I know TJ was mad about it. 1 rebound away from $12,000. So, and TJ is in the live chat. So, TJ is not with us because he is working right now. I'm off because I work at the bank. So, thankfully. But let's go ahead and dive right into the slate, guys. A lot to be covered. A ton of coverage. And by the way, if you guys aren't on Twitter, yeah, it seems like all my top plays always get the questionable tag or ruled out. Like I had D'Angelo Russell the other day as my thumbnail tag, and he got ruled out, so that's fun. Maybe it's a curse, I don't know. All right, but before we get started, guys, I don't know if you guys read the Chandler Parsons news. Very, very unfortunate. Prayers out to him, first of all. We never like to hear any of that, whether it's in DFS, whether it's in real life, it does not matter. Those kinds of things, you know, horrible. Absolutely horrible. And as a player, I actually loved Chandler Parsons play basketball. Just an absolute stud. And then obviously injury riddled throughout his career. I wasn't able to get back on track, and then you hear something like that. It's just it's horrible. So prayers to him, first of all. If you guys haven't checked on that, if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, go ahead and go onto Fantasy Labs, and I'm sure more news will drop on that. We just pray for any kind of recovery at that point, but it is definitely unfortunate. So for you guys who haven't heard, and I just read the Fantasy Labs thing, he actually got into an accident and suffered permanent brain trauma, herniated disc. So there's a possibility he'll be paralyzed. I don't think he'll be coming back to basketball, unfortunately. He did not die. However, it might be that severe. So as of right now, he is living. So he's in a critical condition right now. All right, so let's go ahead and dive right into this slate, guys. Detroit and Washington, as I stated, very, very, very... This whole slate is just tons of injuries all over the place. This is what I'll say about this slate. If you guys hold on to the injury news, especially from the Pelicans, so if you guys play a lot of the late night guys, that will be your advantage. I'm telling you right now, because I think with the Pelicans, with all these guys being rolled out, this gives you the biggest advantage anyway, because it's a high-paced game. Players like Favors could get rolled out, Drew Holiday, any one of those guys could get rolled out, and that could give you an advantage. So what I'm going to personally be doing is grabbing the best I possibly can from, or as far as value from these early games. I'm going to be holding on to these Pelicans later on in the slate. So at least for GPPs, if you're doing double ups, I wouldn't do that. I would grab obviously the best values where you can. So, but that's what I'm going to be doing, and I'm going to show you guys exactly what kind of people I'm going to be targeting. So, as we know, Kyrie Irving is questionable. That's going to shake up the slate. I'm going to be on stream, and obviously we're going to break that down before the slate locks, and we'll be giving out the best plays for that. So, Kyrie Irving is questionable. So that's obviously going to change up everything. But as of right now, I love these Brooklyn Nets. Let's go ahead and look at these Nets real quick. So this is a slight pace of game, and it's kind of funny because when I did my video, they were at 108, maybe it was 109, but the pace went up. So 112 is what they're projected at now. Joe Harris is the best point per dollar value, playing 30 minutes, 6.8. There's really, I mean, that's the most obvious play in the slate, in my opinion. I don't get these prices on any one of these Brooklyn players. Like, he's going to hit that 3.8 tag. He literally hit it in every single one of these games except for the last one. So, I mean, even with Kyrie back, that's a no-brainer. I think Joe Harris, I'm going to have an absolute... I'm going to probably almost have about 100% exposure to him. So, that's my favorite play in the slate. And any one of these Brooklyn guys. So, if you go to Kyrie Irving, 7.8K. We know his price tag is... it should be closer to 9. I mean, he got up to 9 to 10K. So, Kyrie Irving, if he is playing, I wouldn't worry about that hamstring. It's going to be a competitive game, so if he does play, he's going to play the entire game. And Spencer Dinwiddie at 6.7. Again, I mentioned these plays on my my video, but these are my favorite plays. This is my favorite team to target right now, Brooklyn. Also, guys, if you guys have any questions, feel free to enter them into the chat. Ask any questions about the injury news. Send your lineups. I will be sure to critique them. But with all that being said, guys, please hit that subscribe button. If this is your first time, please show that support. Appreciate all the support, guys. And also, when I was out on vacation, I noticed that I didn't have any lost subscribers. So thank you for everybody who stuck with me. I was actually concerned that I would lose a couple subscribers. So that didn't happen. Another game I want to talk about is OKC. I like a lot of these players from this game too. So I like Diallo. He got a 33-minute increase. As you guys can see, I'm going to refresh this page because I actually haven't done it in a while. As far as injuries, I want to make sure I'm staying on top of it. So we have Roberson, Ferguson, Nader, Dort. I don't even know if that's how you say his name, but I'm pretty sure. Dort is out for these guys. So those are all bench players, but it gives a significant boost to people like Diallo. He's getting 33 minutes, 3.6, 6.2 price tag, 3.6 price tag, 6.2 value. I do like Diallo, and I also like Chris Paul a lot. Chris Paul and Diallo they're both in pace up spots against Houston. OKC is projected usually around 108. So if I'm targeting anybody from this game, I'm going to be targeting Diallo and Paul. Diallo and Paul. Those are my favorite plays from this game. I'm also not going to go through every single game, guys, because there's so many to go through. And the ones that stick out the most are definitely in Brooklyn, and they're also in OKC. And like I said, for everybody joining now, this general strategy of the slate is grab the value where you can right now, and then save up for all this Pelican value, because look at this, 118 and 121. If anybody's ruled out for the Pelicans, and I keep seeing all these updates. All right, Alex Lynn, I already knew that. All this value for the Pelicans here. Drew Holiday's questionable. Favors, if they are ruled out, these guys are very undervalued. Jackson Hayes at 3.9 is going to be almost an auto lock, and even Redick, he's questionable right now. So watch out for these Pelicans. Grab the value. Grab the people in the early games like your Joe Harris, and grab. That's 5 o'clock. Honestly, I wouldn't play anybody. I wouldn't be playing anybody from Detroit, Washington, Toronto, Atlanta, or Philly until that Pelicans news drops. That's my general strategy for you guys. Of course, we're awaiting this Kyrie Irving news. So, but yes, it is actually a revenge game. You are right for CP3. So, like I said, CP3, he's a great play today. 6.8K. He's in the 40s. He obviously hits value every single time. With the injuries being out, he actually averages 1.22 fantasy points per minute. So I did the calculation earlier, and he would easily cover his price tag with that fantasy point output. It's a pace up spot for Chris Paul against Houston as well. I also want to talk about Milwaukee. So Milwaukee, as I stated in the video, Giannis is going to be your chalkiest player on as a pay up option. So if you look here, Giannis is actually the second highest owned guy. So a lot of the builds aren't going to include Giannis, just because there's going to be so mid-tier. There's going to be so many mid-tier options. So it's kind of hard to say. If you can get him in there to your cash lineup, I would say sure, go for it. But he's more of a GPP, and that's only because of the build. So that's where I'm looking right there. Sorry, is my mic working, guys? Mic check. Mic check. Yeah, so my favorite plays on the entire slate come from Brooklyn. They come from the Pelicans, and they come from OKC. So a couple guys that stand out just from other teams. I'm gonna go ahead and sort here by point per dollar value, because I already did all the calculating earlier. Bagley is another great play, but again, he's questionable. So a lot of these plays we're gonna have to sit on. We're just gonna have to wait on this injury news to come out. So I'm gonna be staying with you guys all the way through 1:30, and I'm gonna go ahead and start building my lineups. Do the stars indicate good plays? Where do you see the stars at? Oh, are you talking about these? So these are actually... Oh, all right. So Al Horford's a game time decision. So that's actually pretty significant. We're going to go ahead and look at that in just a moment. So with these little bars right here, they actually show the recommendations between these analysts on Roto. I usually don't pay too much attention to that. But if I happen to agree with one, then I'm not mad about it. So that's generally what I look at. But yeah, Bagley's in a great spot. So if we look over here at Sacramento, we have Holmes, Bazemore obviously out, Tolliver obviously out. Bagley is questionable. So what Bagley would do is slide right into that home spot and would increase his usage a lot. So we like Bagley at 5.4. He is a usage monster. Bagley is very underrated. When he gets his minutes, 30 minutes, he easily covers his price tag. 21, 29. I mean, those are all around his price tag, and that's 23 minutes. So we do like Bagley. I know it's a pace down spot, but Bagley getting those power forward center minutes, definitely like him. Yeah, so those are my favorite guys. So I'm going to go ahead and build here because there's not really too much to talk about. There's very obvious plays on the slate, and then the rest are GPP. And as you guys can see, I've already been over the very obvious plays. Also, guys, fire away any questions you have. Yeah, I'm really high on Brooklyn, and I'm really high on the Pelicans, for sure. Harry Giles just got added to the player pool. Also, fire away any updates that you guys have on the slate in the chat so I can see it. That's another player I actually want to talk about. So let me go back here to Orlando because we have a lot of injury news out of Orlando. So with Orlando, we have Fournier at 5.6. I don't know what it is with Fournier. He does not get priced accordingly, and especially with all of this injury news out of Orlando, Aminu, Augustine, and Isaac are all out. I'm going to go ahead and just calculate it for you guys because I'm going to show you how ridiculous this is. I don't know why he's at a 5.6. It's not like he's been playing bad either. Isaac. Who else is off? Augustine. And Amino. All right. So if we look here, Fournier averages 1.06 fantasy points per minute. %5% in usage. 0.11 fantasy points per minute increase with those guys off the floor. It's a pace-up spot. Very poor defense in Charlotte. I really do like Evan Fournier, and if again, like he just keeps being a great GPP play because look at his ownership; it's at 11%. Makes no sense to me whatsoever. So Fournier 5.6, I would go ahead and lock him in. I think he's a viable cash option too. If he's gonna be your one low-owned guy in cash, go for it. I don't think Fournier's priced accordingly until he's hitting that mid 6K range. And even then, I mean, he's a decent play then. So, let me go back to my lineups here. So, Joe Harris, we already covered. Irving, Bagley, Fournier, Dinwiddie, Paul, Diallo. Another player, that's a good team to talk about. I'll go ahead and touch base on the Knicks. Let's go ahead and touch base on the Knicks. Because the Knicks are confusing. The Knicks are always confusing. Even without Fitz there. Alright, so there's a bunch of injuries for the Knicks. Well, not a bunch, but there's a decent amount. So they are without RJ Barrett and Dennis Smith. That's enough to shake up the usage on that team. So these are all calculated with the usage. Marcus Morris actually averages 1.07 fantasy points per minute, but the reason I didn't inflate his price tag or his fantasy point output is because he's in a very bad matchup against Cleveland. They rank 12th in the league against opposing wings. So Marcus Morris, he's in a bad matchup, but I don't hate him. I don't hate him at all. I mean, obviously Cleveland, they're such a volatile team that Marcus Morris isn't a bad. I mean, he'll match up probably fine. It's just that he doesn't really have that high of a ceiling unless he gets going. But Marcus Morris isn't a bad play. I'm not mad about him. So, you know, obviously he can, if he hits his shots, he does great, but against Cleveland, I don't know. Marcus Morris is probably my favorite play from that team. Reggie Bullock being second, and then it goes in order there. It looks like all the analysts like Elfrid Payton, but after calculating everything, Elfrid Payton's not a bad play. And the only thing with the Knicks is like you take a dart at any one of these plays, and you can't really tell who's going to do well. They don't have any standout players. So, Knicks are confusing. Very confusing. So Andre Drummond, obviously another good play, 9.6. I'm willing to pay for him. I made the mistake of not paying up for him in previous matchups, just because of his 10K price tag. But Washington is actually a great spot. Again, 9.6. I don't mind it. Again, guys, we're waiting for this Kyrie Irving news to break. Once that comes out, I'm probably going to be all aboard the Nets train for sure. Also, guys, fire away any questions that you have inside the chat. I know this chat isn't as live as the late night ones just because a lot of you are at work. But for the guys who did join, thank you so much for your support. If this is your first time joining, please hit that subscribe button. Please hit that like button. We do this every single day before lock to try to give you guys an edge. But yeah, if you guys want to take a look here. Just got home. What games did we cover? We covered all the ones with injury news. So we covered Brooklyn. We covered the Pelicans. We covered Sacramento. Not the Pelicans, sorry. We're still pending. And OKC. So those are my favorite teams to target. Right there. You can't go wrong with stacking these guys. Yes, Hayes is going to be a lock if Favors is out. But again, that is huge news. We are still waiting for the Pelicans. Obviously, they have a ton of injury news pending still. If you look here, we still have Favors questionable. We still have Drew Holiday. We still have Okafor, and we have Redick still questionable for them. So I'll go ahead, since we're waiting for injury news, I'll go ahead and start diving into each game. I'll go ahead and do that. That sounds reasonable. So if you guys want to fire away any teams that you're interested in hearing about, I'll go ahead and give you some of my favorite plays from those games. Yeah, the locks tonight, this is very straightforward as of right now. So the locks, Joe Harris is a lock. Kelly Oubre concussion went through shoot around. Diallo is a lock. Kyrie, if he plays, is a lock. And I really like Fournier as a sneaky GPP play. Bagley is a lock, and so is Dinwiddie. If you guys can get those guys in your lineup, there's nothing wrong with that. That should easily cash. These are all good GPP options too. Joe Harris at 16%. If that's real, take advantage of that. Joe Harris at 3.8K is just, that's not fair. That shouldn't be a real price tag. Yeah, and we can talk about Washington because I know there's some injuries here. But Bradley Beal's still at 29 minutes. I would avoid Bradley Beal. I would avoid a lot of these Wizards. I mean, not a single guy, like I said in my video, is above 30 minutes. So I'm avoiding all of these Wizards. McRae, maybe Bertans is like the only play, but even him, he's 28 minutes. I mean, they're playing against Detroit. Detroit obviously has good rebounding, so Bertans would have to come out shooting and hit all of his shots to hit value. Isaiah Thomas at 23 minutes is always a good play, but again, I like somebody like Joe Harris a lot better than Isaiah Thomas if you're looking for value. So strictly GPP. Detroit, I do like Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose is a high fantasy point per minute player. He did get that price increase at 7.2. Playing 30 minutes, though, I obviously like the minute production there. So Derrick Rose is another good GPP option. Andre Drummond's more of a cash play. He's going to be decently owned just because he has such a good matchup. So I would, if you're playing GPPs, I would have not as much ownership on Drummond, but I would target him in cash. Horford sprained his hand, right? So O'Quinn should get the start or backup. My question is, why O'Quinn didn't play the last game but played the game before it? Was it a rest thing? You know what? I can't answer that question because I was on the cruise. But let's go ahead and take a look at it. So if we want to go ahead and look at Philly, because Philly is confusing. All right, I will do this. Apparently I can't type. Yeah, so this is another good tool, guys. For anybody just joining, popcornmachine.net shows the game flows of these games. So what it does, it shows who subs in for who, how many minutes, and what they do while they're on the court. So it definitely shows a lot. So let's go ahead and take a look at Philly. Their rotations when they played New York. Wow, they smoked them. 67 points, are you kidding me? I'll get to your questions in just a second. So, Al Horford, he sprained his hand last game, right? When did Al Horford sprain his hand? The 18th, that was 2 days ago. So it showed Al Horford, whenever he did come out, it looks like an automatic sub for him was Mike Scott or Pell. So Pell is out here. It shows that Al Horford came back in for Pell. Interesting. So since Pell is ruled out, that's going to shake up the big guys. So that's actually a great point. Let me go ahead and look at these minutes. Yeah, let me go ahead and look at these minutes. So Pell is out. And we were just saying that Mike Scott was in that rotation as well. So Quinn, that's actually a great point. The only other center that they have on the roster is O'Quinn. So I actually like him. I like him in the rotation because he's going to be, I think 15 minutes is a bit conservative for him. So thanks for bringing that to my attention, actually. O'Quinn is the only other center on the roster. We know that Mike Scott obviously fit into that rotation, but he's 4K. So I think O'Quinn should get a good backup run. That's actually a great point. Great point. Again, we're going to see if he does play. If Horford is ruled out, we're going to be high on Philly as well. So we're going to have to recalculate everything. Again, I'm waiting for these injury news. Waiting for this injury news to come out. So ask any questions that you guys have about the slate. For you guys just joining, we talked about all the injuries already up to this point. Very high in Brooklyn. Very high on Sacramento. With Bagley. I'm very high on Fournier with Orlando, and OKC with Chris Paul and Diallo. Those are my guys. Those are my locks, and some of those guys are actually good GPP options. So, like if we go back here, if Joe Harris and Diallo are really only 16 and 20%, that's unfair. And if Fournier is only at 11%, that is crazy. Yeah, Harris. I think, honestly, Ben Simmons and Harris are a lock at that point. So, let's go. I'm going to look at Fantasy Labs real quick to see if there's any more updates, because I'll start rolling through the injuries. So, Al Horford's a game time decision. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead, while I'm on stream, let's go ahead and calculate what will happen if Horford is indeed ruled out. Let's go ahead and do that. That sounds like fun, right? All right, so we look at Philly. We're going to take Horford, and we're going to take off Embiid. All right, so actually not that big of a minute sample size, so that's kind of funny. So yeah. So, see, this is why we all chat together, because O'Quinn actually gets the best. I mean, he's averaging 1.21 fantasy points per minute. O'Quinn could be a very, very sneaky GPP play, even if he's not getting that many minutes. So, O'Quinn, 1.21 fantasy points per minute. Tobias Harris, 1.14. And Ben Simmons actually sucks without them. Man, Ben Simmons has really been slacking this year. What's Josh Richardson doing? So Josh Richardson actually carries a very high usage rate with Horford and Embiid off the court. So yeah, I think my favorite options would be Harris and Richardson if Horford is indeed ruled out. Those would be my favorite plays. Again, and then O'Quinn would be a very sneaky play. I think O'Quinn's minutes would probably be up higher, closer to the mid-20s. So low to mid-20s probably is what I'm assuming. So I definitely would like O'Quinn, especially in GPP for the 76ers for sure. But again, I'm not gonna mess with my stuff until those guys are ruled out. Philly and Brooklyn. I really do hope that we get the injury news though before the slate does lock, because that would be annoying if it did not. Kyrie Irving, again, one of my favorite plays on the slate, is questionable now, so any more questions, guys, go ahead and fire them into the chat. If this is your first time, please hit that subscribe button. Please hit that notification bell. We go live before every single slate to talk injury news and talk about the edge on the slate. Again, guys, if you are playing this slate, I do not recommend starting anybody from these first two games right here, waiting for this injury news, waiting for those pivots, because the difference maker is going to be in between this Philly Brooklyn game and also in between this Pelicans game. Those are where the injury news that I'm the most intrigued in. It's going to be from those games. Yeah, definitely. And then Bagley would be the only guy I'm looking at from the late games, really. And then Fournier being a great GPP option. I would avoid the Knicks and Cleveland if. I like Brooklyn and Philly a lot more. Is Markieff Morris a cash game play on DK? Let's go ahead and take a look at it. Markieff Morris is only projected at 18 minutes. So no, Markieff Morris would not be a good play. You are talking about Markieff Morris, right? Because the other one, Marcus Morris, is actually a good play. So yeah, if we look, you want to go ahead and talk about the Bulls. So the Bulls are in a pace up to average spot, I'd say. I was looking at Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine has just been incredible as far as his fantasy point per minute output. He just has a very bad matchup today against Milwaukee. So they perform very well against wing players. So Zach LaVine in that matchup at 8.7. Yeah, he's a very productive player, but definitely more of a GPP option. I don't mind Zach LaVine. I just don't think that he's going to be performing as well as he has been. If LaVine is all right, so Irving just got ruled out as soon as you just sent that question. So it's kind of funny. So everybody, do not panic. I know that Kyrie Irving was my thumbnail. He is not anymore. So we're gonna be pivoting off of Irving. So here we go. Let's go ahead and go to the calculator. As you guys know, I love to do the calculations through the usage calculator. Also, I got sick right after I got off my cruise, so sorry about the voice cracks and the constant water chugs here. I had the flu before the cruise. I got off the cruise, and then I got a cold. Yeah, we're obviously going to look at it, guys. 1 second here. So they have Durant, Chandler, Jordan, and now Irving. So let's go ahead and calculate that. Chandler, Jordan, Durant, Irving, right there at the top. Look at that. All right, so who gets the biggest increase here? Let's look at this. Wow, so it actually moves a lot. So LeVert, look at that. Oh, but it's only 57 minutes. All right, so it actually is pretty even across the board, which is good because that means I can stack Brooklyn even more than I wanted to before. All right, let's go ahead to the calculator here. I'm going to wait for the minutes to update as well. It is a low-paced game, guys, but when you are talking about this rotation from Brooklyn without Kyrie Irving, it starts to get very, very small to the point where the total doesn't matter. They can still suck and hit value. That's just how it works. The price tags are already adjusted according to Kyrie Irving playing. So because of that, last night the DraftKings set the pricing, so they haven't adjusted, obviously, for Kyrie Irving being out. That makes Spencer Dinwiddie, if you guys remember, Dinwiddie was around 8.5K, obviously being a great play. Jarrett Allen being a good play. Taurean Prince would actually be another good play. I'm going to wait for these minutes to update, and I'm going to tell you who my favorite are. Yeah, just because... you mean TJ? Yeah, TJ's at work right now. So TJ will be back. We're going to be streaming for the 7:30 slate as well. So stay tuned for that. If you guys haven't already subscribed to that, hit the notification bell so that when we do go live, you guys are automatically notified. I'm Matt. The other guy's TJ. All right, so they got rid of it. So minutes look like they have not been adjusted. I'm assuming Prince is going to be up in the 30s. So I'm just going to wait for the minutes to update, guys. So yeah, Spencer Dinwiddie is going to be an auto lock for me. A complete auto lock. Just waiting. Just waiting. Usage gets evenly distributed amongst the Brooklyn, so nobody really stands out too much. Obviously, if LeVert gets a minute bump, then I like LeVert. Yeah, Joe Harris is an auto lock. Period. He's an auto lock before all the injury news. Joe Harris is one of my favorite plays on the slate. He is your free play. Just waiting for these minutes to update, guys. I'm going to go ahead and just calculate them with it and see who stands out. So I'm not wasting your time. Dinwiddie, 1 point. Sorry, I'm not talking to you guys right now. I'll get to your questions in just a second here. Jarrett Allen's calculations went up. His fantasy point production went up, so that's very noteworthy. I do like Jarrett Allen tonight. Yep, I do like Jarrett Allen. Prince seems a bit overpriced. I will say that. 5.1. I mean, he's not a bad play, but... minutes still haven't updated. I think Dinwiddie's going to play more than 32 minutes. He also got tagged here by another analyst as being his favorite play. So that's pretty obvious, though. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at this. Let's go ahead and take a look. Joe Harris, Jarrett Allen, Spencer Dinwiddie. Those are going to be my 3 locks from Brooklyn. I don't think you can go wrong with those 3 plays. I'm going to wait for these minutes to update on LeVert and Prince to make my educated decision on whether I'm going to play them too. But I would start at Brooklyn. Brooklyn is going to be the most obvious plays on the slate. They're gonna come straight from this game. I think if LeVert's minutes go up past, I'd say 27, I think he's going to be a very viable play at 4.6. I think LeVert's going to be a decent GPP option. Again, I don't think these minutes are updating. If you guys have any other minute projections, let me know. So I'll compare these guys, these Brooklyn guys, to the rest of the slate here. Joe Harris, Jarrett Allen stand out the most, and then Spencer Dinwiddie. Diallo's still a great play. I still like Evan Fournier, but I like Evan Fournier more for GPPs. Bagley's still a great play, and so is Chris Paul. I wonder if you can make a lineup out of those guys right there. Do I like anybody from Detroit? So let's go ahead and take a look at Detroit while we wait for Brooklyn. I do like Derrick Rose. I like Derrick Rose a lot. He is a fantasy point per minute monster. He averages 1.33 fantasy points per minute at a 7.2K price tag at 30 minutes. Just a great play. I don't think people give him enough credit for how productive he is in this small amount of time that he is playing. And now that he is getting 30 minutes, definitely a great play. If he's going to win your last spots, I would play him, but like he's 7.2 and you can go straight to somebody like Dinwiddie as a better option. But I do like Derrick Rose, and Drummond obviously is going to be on the bit of the chalky side just because he's in a great matchup against Washington. It's going to be a pace-up spot for Detroit. So Andre Drummond is another good play. I don't like anybody outside of those few players, though. I mean, it is a pace-up spot for them, but Tony Snell at 28 minutes is always a scary play. Demboye at 29 minutes, 5.3, not that productive of a player. And Mikhailo at 5.5. Al Horford will play, so that makes things a little bit easier on us. So Al Horford will play. So I'm not that high on Philly. I'm actually a bit higher on Brooklyn. So here's what I will tell you guys. Plug and play. I think you can get away from fading everybody from this Detroit-Washington game, although I don't mind these plays. But I'm in love with Brooklyn. I'm in love with the Pelicans if somebody gets ruled out from the Pelicans. Because look at this over-under, guys. 118.5, 121. You can pretty much play anybody from this game, regardless of injury, and be fine with it. But once these injuries hit, like if Drew Holiday gets ruled out, guys, give me all the Brandon Ingram. Give me all the Lonzo Ball. And then you can start looking at people like Josh Hart and Etuan Moore, and they become good plays too. And then if somebody like Derek Favors gets rolled out, Jackson Hayes is an auto lock. So what I would do is lock in those guys from Brooklyn. If you're playing one lineup, lock in those guys from Brooklyn. Wait for the injury news from the Pelicans game, and then you can pivot to those Pelicans guys. It's like an auto win right there. Okay. For GPPs, I would do the same thing, except obviously if you guys know about late swapping, you guys know about the mass import tool. You can do it that way. But I would be pivoting to these Pelicans 1000% if these injury news, if this injury news does come out after lock. So that's my that's what I'm doing for my strategy. Not enough people pivot. I tell you, that's where you can make or break the slate on DraftKings, is from pivoting. But if you are playing cash and you have nowhere else to go but Drummond, go ahead and plug in Drummond. Go ahead and plug in those Brooklyn guys, and then play your people like Bagley. If there's no injuries to these Pelican guys, then yeah, I still do like Derrick Rose, and I still like Drummond. I think Fournier is going to be a great play. And a couple of those Knicks are good plays. But that's generally what I'm doing with the slate. So, with that being said, guys, let's go ahead and build 150 lineups and see what they're looking like. And then I'll go ahead and answer questions. I'll get off in about 10 minutes or so. And then I will tweet out any pivots that I make or any last-minute injury news changes. Sorry about me being sick, guys. This is a bad season for me. Can't catch a break. All right. So like I said, Joe Harris, Spencer Dinwiddie, Jarrett Allen, Fournier is going to be more of a GPP option. And these percentage ownership, don't ignore these. Ignore these ownership guys. Joe Harris is going to be more than 16%. So is Dinwiddie, and Jarrett Allen's not going to be 2.89% in tournaments. Spencer Dinwiddie is going to probably be close to 80% now. I do like Chris Paul, and I like Diallo, and then Bagley. Outside of those guys, I'm not looking too far for cash. Giannis is the Giannis is like a contrarian GPP option just because the Bills don't play out in his favor. So, yeah, let's go ahead and update the minute projections. Thank you. So, no. Ah, man, I feel horrible. All right. So, Brooklyn actually went down. Look at that. All the way down to 108.75. Don't let that scare you. Seriously. So LeVert's 27 minutes. Let's go ahead and calculate, guys. What I'm going to do, because I know that LeVert's sample size is way too small, I'm going to not do 57-minute sample size for him. Prince, so 30 minutes. Hold on one second. Let me calculate these other guys first. Prince, 0.84, 25.2. So yeah, I think Prince is like really the only guy that's slightly overpriced, but I mean, even he's not a bad play. I'm not locking him in though, for sure. LeVert. So let me go ahead and get rid of Jordan and see how that shakes things up. Sorry about that. Sorry that you're sick, guys. Anybody who has a cold with me, sorry. 1.14. I'll go ahead and use that. I think that's pretty accurate for LeVert. In 27 minutes, I think that's going to end up being pretty good. Yep. He's going to pop on my sheet here. Yeah. Yeah, LeVert's going to be a good play, guys. LeVert at 4.6 is going to be a fantastic play, actually. I think Dinwiddie's an even better play now. 34 minutes. 34. 1.25. All right. Garrett Temple. Ooh, we can look at Garrett Temple. Only reason I got excited about that is because he's very cheap. Temple 20.79. Didn't really change that much. All right. So now let's see how it changes things up. That should shake things up a lot, actually. Go ahead and fire away your last minute questions, guys. I'm going to get off here in about 5 minutes or so to go ahead and start building my own lineups. All right. And again, we will be back later. TJ will be on the next live stream at 5:30. Yeah, 5:30-ish. I think. 6-ish. Probably. All right, so that actually changed things up a lot. So here's the strategy. You ready? Start Brooklyn. Don't look back. And then when the Pelicans come out, more injury news comes out for the Pelicans, pivot as much as you can to them. That is my strategy. Evan Fournier is a sneaky GPP option. Bagley is a great play as well. Chris Paul, sneaky GPP. I think Drummond and Giannis are going to be the only guys I'm going to be paying up for. But that's what I'm going to be doing. Go ahead. Do not be scared to plug in LeVert. Do not be scared to plug in Dinwiddie, Harris, and Allen into the same lineup. Seriously, do not be afraid to do that. Sorry if you're late to the party, guys. You're getting the best part, though. Obviously, with Kyrie Irving being ruled out, he was my thumbnail. I think I have a thumbnail curse now because D'Lo got ruled out the last time I did that, too. It just seems like for whoever I decide to put as my thumbnail, they just get ruled out. So, with Irving ruled out, LeVert, Dinwiddie, Harris, and Allen are my favorite plays. Plug them in. Do not look back. Seriously. They are great plays. Kyrie is out. All right, so my favorite center on the entire slate is Jarrett Allen. Andre Drummond probably would be my second favorite option if you're just talking about general centers. Any love for Peyton? Any Peyton love, sorry. At 3,500. Are you talking about Elfrid Payton? Because Elfrid Payton is not 3,500. He is a lot more than that. So Dinwiddie, Fournier, Harris, Tobias Harris, Morris, Allen, Harden, Paul, LeVert. I definitely don't mind that. However, Harris does scare me. If he's your last slot, then it's you kind of have to get away with it. Harden is a good GPP option for sure, just because he will not be high owned. People are going to go towards Giannis over. They're going to go for Giannis over Harden for sure tonight, just because of the pace up spot. So my favorite pay up spots tonight are going to be Giannis and Harden. Harden for GPP, Giannis for cash. Oh, Gary Harris. Gary Harris. Are you talking about the late night slate? Because I don't think Denver's on the early slate. I'm just covering the early slate right now. Oh, Peyton. Sorry. Gary Payton. Let's look at Washington real quick. At 3.5, 12 minutes, no. No, if he's only getting 12 minutes, I don't like him. Joe Harris. Yes, sorry. Joe Harris is a great play. Sorry, Simon. I did not. I'm sorry. That was a complete miss on my part. Westbrook or Drummond? Absolutely Drummond. Drummond, if you are doing cash. I think Drummond's a better option in general. I think he's in a great spot. Gary Payton at 12 minutes isn't a viable option if he's only getting 12 minutes. If he's getting more than 12 minutes, sure. But, I mean, I like way too many other value plays on the slate. The most obvious value plays, I think, the entire season are on the slate. Harris and Diallo are very, very obvious spots. Very obvious plays. 31 minutes and 29 minutes for those guys are way too cheap. Yeah, so that's another thing, guys. If somebody has a really good matchup against a specific team, like for instance, Giannis has really good history against Chicago, yeah, that's great to go off of. But again, like you have to look at the roster constructions in those games. You have to look at the scenarios, whether was it home, was it away. Don't pay too much attention to the historical aspect of it. I know if it was only a few nights ago, yeah, sure, but situations change, rotations change, everything changes in those games. Don't pay too much attention to that. Like, if Giannis had a great game against Chicago 2 nights ago, don't think he's an auto lock for tonight. If anything, that would be a good fade, because people would be that obviously the percentage ownership would go up for him because of that. So that's just my 2 cents for that. But yeah, like I said, guys, if you are new to the chat, if you are new to the stream right now, if you're just joining, these are my favorite plays. Robin Lopez ruled out. LeVert, Dinwiddie, Harris, Allen. Do not be afraid to play those 4. Do not be afraid to play those 4. The only guy I'd say like you could possibly get away with is Jarrett Allen, but the 3 locks, LeVert, Dinwiddie, and Harris, absolutely. Like those guys are all the lock for me. Bagley, great play. Fournier, great GPP flyer. Chris Paul is now a GPP option, more so than cash. Andre Drummond looks like his percentage ownership is going up. So Marcus Morris, GPP. Giannis, GPP. And then we're going to see what happens to the Pelicans. Hang on to the Pelicans. If anybody's ruled out from the Pelicans, they become great plays. Absolutely great plays tonight. Trae Young, I looked at him earlier. He's not a bad GPP option, but against Toronto, it's going to be a slight pace down spot. They have the full roster back for Toronto. I know that Atlanta has been playing decently as of late, but 9.5 with their entire roster back, I mean, it's fairly priced. As you can see, he's just a very volatile player. So could end up paying off for you, but I wouldn't recommend him, no. I think there's better options on the slate. Sexton versus New York. Yeah, I think a lot of these Cleveland players are actually traps. So Garland being like the biggest trap, he's a 5K, 34 minutes, and he just sucks. There's no way around it. He sucks as a player. He averages like 0.68 fantasy points per minute, I think is what I was looking at earlier. Like Osman's a better player than him. Fantasy point per minute player anyway. So Kevin Love's not a bad play. Tristan Thompson's always never a bad play. as long as he can get the boards. Sexton, I actually like Sexton better than Garland. If you're going to target anybody from this game, though, I think Kevin Love's going to be your safest bet. You know, it's actually kind of funny. TJ just wrote a very mean comment actually in the chat. I actually was tan for like the last 2 days, and then I went back to being pale. So thanks for that. Beal or Rose? I would go Derrick Rose. Beal is still has limited minutes. Rose is in a pace up spot. I think he's actually in a great spot. I don't mind him for GPP at all. Dylan Brooks is in a bad place, in a pace-up spot. I don't mind Dylan Brooks. He could be a decent GPP flyer, for sure. Anybody from pace-up spot's always a good player. I don't mind Jaren Jackson as well for GPP. I'm going to go ahead and get off, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Like I said, I'm all aboard the Brooklyn train. As you guys can see, we'll take one last look here. All aboard the Brooklyn train. And then Fournier, Bagley, Chris Paul, Andre Drummond are all on the top of the list here. If the Pelicans do have people ruled out for them, I do like the Pelicans. So I will be switching gears to the Pelicans for sure if any of those guys are ruled out. For cash, I like... Ooh, that's a good question. For cash only, I would go Rose and Drummond. Although I do like Allen and Harden for GPP. I do. I like that combo for sure. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in again. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. Please hit that notification bell. We will be going live a little bit later before lock for the 7:30 slate. We'll be going live about 6-ish. So look out for that notification and be sure to join. Again, TJ will be in there, not putting anything in the chat here. I'm probably about to block him from the chat. That was rude. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in again. Have a great rest of your Monday, and I will see you later if you decide to join.